back with a new video, and in today's video I'm doing something a little extra special because today is my birthday. And for my birthday, I want to make myself a special dress using a material that is as vintage as I am. My bed sheets. No, not my bed sheets right now. I am a grown woman. My bed sheets from when I was a child. They are Little Mermaid themed because of course everything was Little Mermaid themed when I was a child because my name is Ariel. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, wow, that looks very pristine, that is because it's a top sheet, and even as a child, I did not like top sheets, so that has been put in storage for the last 2 decades. Smells like the 90s. I do also have the comforter. This one I used all the time, and as you can see, it's seen better days. But the top sheets, despite their age, is in pretty good condition. Same. So I'm going to be repurposing them into a dress that a woman in her 30s is going to love to wear. As for the pattern, I have picked the infamous Butterick 4790 that every sewist seems to hate, but we're in a rush to make at the beginning of the year. I know I am late to the Walkaway challenge, but dang it, I just want to join in those reindeer games. So it occurred to me that I did not actually watch any of the videos about the Walkaway dress or really look into the Walkaway dress challenge rules at all. So I decided to go and do that, and apparently I've gotten it slightly wrong. It's not just Stephanie Canada challenging people to make a dress that nobody likes. Specifically, she's sending out tracings to those who want to participate of the original dress, not the reproduction, and challenging them to make it as fast as they can, because in theory, this dress, you're supposed to be able to start it in the morning and walk away in it by the afternoon, hence the name. However, I didn't do that. I did quite the opposite of that. I took all the time to make this dress. And really that's kind of on par for me. I am horrible at following directions. You can tell me a recipe and I'm already mentally replacing all of the ingredients. Not only did I not understand the assignment, I was working from a completely different textbook. Although somehow it did end up all right. I did end up making the dress. I just got really off track. And let me show you how off track I got. Now I've made a few of these dresses and I really like wearing them around the house. They make great house dresses for doing chores, watering plants. Now I know that doesn't make it sound appealing, but for me they're kind of like wearing sweatpants. You know, the ones with the stretched out waistband, but they're like super comfy. Are they flattering? No. But are they comfortable? Yes. And the Walkaway dress has been my go-to dress for when I want comfort over fashion. Now you're probably wondering, Ariel, that's great and all, but why do you want to make an unflattering pair of sweatpants in a childish print for your birthday? To which, shut up, it's my birthday. No, I kid. The reason why I wanted to make this dress, particularly making it in this material, is because this year marks the year that the live-action Little Mermaid is being released. And it happens to be released just 2 days before my birthday. So, with it being my birthday, my name being Ariel, my namesake getting her own live-action-ish movie, and a commenter pointing out that it is also Mermaid, really the starfish are aligning, and I just need to make this dress from this Little Mermaid bed sheets. As far as using the Walkaway dress, I've picked that dress because I recently cannibalized one of my Walkaway dresses a couple months ago in order to make a blouse, and I need a new one. With that being said, I think we are all ready, so let us begin. Before I cut my fabric, I'm going to begin by destroying my pattern. My biggest complaint with this pattern is that the front piece doesn't fit very well. I blame the skirt, so I'm cutting the skirt off altogether. I'll be cutting the front skirt using the back skirt piece instead. After that, I prep my bed sheet by picking apart all the folded edges and then ironing them flat. There is some fading around the former creases, but that adds to the lived-in look. As those miniature builders would say, it's free weathering. I give the whole thing a once-over with the iron, and it's ready to cut. Actually, I lied. I don't have enough fabric, so I'm adding a contrast. I really want to use turquoise fabric, but all I have is this gray marbled cotton with silver veining. Ooh, sparkly. So I'll dye it turquoise with this turquoise dye. That usually works. Let's try again. No? Oh, I see. It's teal dye, not turquoise. Picky bitches. Ooh, I like it. However, it's too dark, so back to square one. Let's try this plain unbleached muslin. It's still just a bit too dark, but we're getting closer. I'm going to do a lighter touch with this drapery lining. It has just a kiss of color, but I think this will work. I think this one goes with this color better. And this one's not quite this or this. It's kind of like in between these two. I like this one more. Okay, with all the fabric ready, I begin by cutting the back from the contrast. I uncarve the curve to be more straight like the original pattern. Aside from that though, the back gets cut as it should. I use the leftovers to cut patch pockets. I want them to be big enough so I can carry around my favorite pattern with me wherever I go. And then I make a house-shaped peak for an extra aesthetic value. What's more cottagecore than an actual cottage pocket? After procrastinating, I lay out my skirt panel only to realize the glaringly obvious. It does not fit folded. So I spread it all out and relayed the pattern, thinking I may shorten the skirt by a few inches so both panels will fit. While I'm contemplating how I'm going to get the third panel in and cut the front from the rest of the fabric, I am interrupted. I came in like a rainbow. No! Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Stop, stop, stop. I decided to take a quick break to play ball with Pepper. Don't eat it. Drop it. Pepper. Don't eat it. Ouch. When I come back, I realize another glaringly obvious observation. This will be the front. So this aerial is right side up. That aerial is upside down. That aerial is upside down. King Triton is sideways. And this is split down the middle. So what I'm thinking is I want this aerial to be nice and whole in the back. So I might just turn it to where this is now the center back. And then I'm probably just going to cut it in half this way. That way I can do the front panels into smaller pieces and I'll cut them upside down so then the pattern will be right side up. You understand what I'm going with? That way at least some of the pattern will be going the right way up. Otherwise everything's going to be upside down. So to achieve this three-dimensional chess move, I fold the pattern piece in half and line the back seam up with the large aerial in the center. Now, from here, I should have folded the fabric, and that would have been a lot easier, but for whatever reason, I like to make things harder on myself, and I love Pepper. Did not do that. So instead, I decided I was going to mark out one side first, and then mark out the other side by flipping over the pattern. As you can see, it somehow fits perfectly on one side, yet not perfectly on the other. If you saw that coming, you are a smarter person than me. I, however, like so many things, I decide to ignore the problem and just press on anyway. I did what I call a big brain move for myself, and I folded the sheet in half, like I should have done earlier. Then I lined up the folded skirt pattern so it fit perfectly, and then I cut it out so both sides are perfectly even now. Wow! Now for the front panel of the skirt, but my pattern has grown again and that pesky overhang is back. It completely confused me again, so I decided to flip it over thinking that may help. Why am I like this? Finally, I decided to use the folded cutout back panel as my panel piece instead, and hey, it fits. Wow. Because at this point, I fear my brain can't be trusted, I do a pin fit test, and honestly, I'm shocked it worked out. Obviously, not all of the print is right side up, but most of it is, and the more crucial thing is, it fits. So I'm very pleased with it. And myself, go me, that was a hard task. After that fiasco, I used the remnant pieces to cut out more house-shaped pockets. This will be the lining that will peek out when it is flipped over, but I like this little fishy guy and I want him to be facing upwards, so I cut the roof and body separately to reattach later. Honestly, this is why it takes me so long to make anything, is because I'm just doing hurdles in my brain. Also, I realized that with the skirt cut the way it is, I can add side seam pockets, so I cut those out as well, using some of that darker turquoise muslin from earlier. One can never have too many pockets. With the pockets out of the way, I can cut the front bodice piece. I start by laying it out and folding it over. I really want the aerial to be center, but the wraparound section is too long, so she needs to be skewed slightly to the side. I debated changing the darts as Ariel is going to get mangled in all of those darts. However, I don't want to risk any more brain frizzles, so I cut the bodice out fairly normally. I do slightly straighten out the curve though. Last but not least, I need to cut out the front underskirt panel. I do not have enough of either fabric to make a full skirt, so I pinned the bedsheet to the remaining of the drapery lining and folded over to make one long piece. Screw it, I'm just cutting. Good enough. I'll figure it out later. Oh, and I cut a bib for the back, because I totally planned to do that, not because I cut it too low on accident. I begin by sewing the front darts and then the back darts. Next, I carefully sew around the bib curve on the back. After that, I stitch all around the side seam pockets and then join the pieces for the patch pockets. Then I join the outer skirts together, leaving just enough room for the side pockets to drop in later. Polly takes this time to give himself a bath. He may look like a lump of coal, but he ain't dirty. I iron my darts flat, and you may notice that the front bodice has long straps, which were for tying on during the fit test, but I decided I was going to leave them because I've never been a huge fan of the button back closure, and I kind of like this better. After ironing, I whip out the serger to clean up the edges. What decides when I serge edges over binding them? Glad you asked. Mostly it's vibes. For this project, the vibes are saying the 60s called. They want their fringe back. Once that's done, I top stitch all of the patch pocket pieces, the underskirt piecemeal, and around the bib to secure it. Next, I sandwich the patch pockets together and set them aside for the second round of serging. Then I stitch in the side pockets. Admittedly, this would have been easier if I didn't join the top edges together, but if I worked smarter, I wouldn't be able to work harder. I stitch the shoulders together, ignoring the fact that the bib makes the backside way too wide. I serge the seam, then cut off my mistake so no one knows what I did. The pockets see their second serge pass through. I flip them inside out once again and set them aside for later. It is now later and the pockets have been pressed, and I decide to add a decorative button to cover up the fish that I worked so hard to make visible. Definitely worth it. I land on this 2-layered button look because I wanted an excuse to add more buttons into my life. Once they were tacked in place, I add them to the underskirt. They were supposed to go on the top, but I changed my mind because I didn't want to cover up the bedsheet pattern. Plus, the outer skirt already has sneaky secret pockets. And we all know secret pockets are better. Next, I joined the outer layer to the back bodice. Then, in a move I didn't see coming, I made a gathering stitch along the top of the underskirt. And much to my annoyance, I gathered that skirt into the front bodice. What a baller move. I even commit to it by sewing it all down. This is just inconceivable. Unbelievably, I am not done yet, as I gather the neckline as well. Then I bind the neckline in dyed bias tape, sealing the gathers haphazardly in place. Finally, I top stitch the binding down. And thus begins the great binding of 23. Sadly, I saved the best for the beginning and used light seafoam binding for the rest of the dress. I ran out of this binding by the end, so the skirt is hemmed in single fold bias tape, an array of colors, starting from neon green, to blue, to orange. obviously the three main colors of the ocean. Then I fold it over and go around it all again with a tight top stitch. Lastly, I add 3 clasps to the front and she is ready for the reveal. Alright, another project down, and I must say I absolutely love how this dress came out. I think it is just too darn cute. I love how it fits, I love how it wears. This is probably my favorite walkaway dress yet. I've, like I said, made several of them, and every time I make one I do just slight variations here and there to address some of the issues I have. I know that a lot of people have issues with this dress, and I'm not one of them. I just still really like the dress regardless of how not great it is construction-wise. Namely for me, my issue is this neckline. I always think it's just so big and boxy and pulls everything up and it makes it choke on the neckline here, which, you know, to each their own, but I'm not all about that. And so I think addressing it with the higher back panel really helps, and also ruching it up here at the neckline really helped pull everything in. I am also pretty proud of myself for figuring out a way to cut this skirt where most of the pattern faces upwards. I also like that because this is now cut, I get to put pockets in the side. I think every woman in person really can agree that pockets are great. Not to mention I didn't have enough fabric to do my entire vision, but I managed to make it work anyway. And as far as the walkaway challenge goes, I'm gonna say I probably just disqualified myself right off the bat, as I did not get the original pattern from Stephanie Canada, which is what the whole original challenge was. And that's my bad, because I didn't do any research about what the walkaway challenge actually was. I just saw a bunch of people making this dress and I just kind of want to jump on that bandwagon. However, I did still keep track of my time, and I made this dress sewing wise in about 6.5 hours. Cutting wise, I did not actually time myself, but I did start at 10 and ended at midnight, so I'm going to say about 2 hours, which puts the whole process to about 8.5 hours, which I'm going to round up to 9 hours because I did have to prep the fabric by unpicking all the seams. I also had to dye the fabric. So 9 hours is kind of a lot for a dress, but really for me it's kind of on par. I wouldn't consider myself a slow sewer, but I get distracted and just start adding things or adjusting things, or something's always going to come up that I'll have to labor over longer than needed. I just like to make things harder for myself, it seems. However, it's okay. It is worth it because I love this dress. I love how it came out and I'm just so pleased with it. And I think this is a great birthday gift because I love anything that has to do with my namesake and, you know, me. Anyway, as far as my grading system for 2023 goes, I am trying to use everything that I have on hand and not buy more materials. With that being said, I did actually buy this seafoam bias tape. I know I've been using it a lot in videos lately, but in my last video I had used it all up. So I had to go and buy this for $2 a pack, and I bought 2 packs. So I spent $4 on this dress in total, which I think is a pretty good deal. With that being said, I'll give myself a B+, because I did buy something, so that's going to knock it down, but I did use nearly all of it. And I also found other clever ways to use what I had on hand, like I got to use up all of this lime green bias tape. I didn't know what I was going to use this for. It is not a color I normally work with. I don't typically work with neon colors. However, it kind of reminds me of bioluminescent seaweed, and I got to use up all of my Drapery linen, which it's taken me years to use up all that Drapery linen, and I think I have finally used up everything that remains, so I'm pretty happy with that. And in case you're wondering why I have so much drapery lining, I actually used to work as a professional seamstress at a drapery company that made custom drapes and home goods for houses. And anytime we came to the end of a roll of industrial sized drapery lining, or if someone wanted their lining replaced with like blackout curtain, we'd have to rip out the whole lining and put in the blackout. And rather than just throw it all away, my employer said, if you want it, you can take it. And I wanted it, so I took it. And I've had a lot of it since. And I've used it for everything from my own drapes to clothing. Anyway, I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing. I release a new video every other Sunday with a bonus in between. Sometimes I promise I will. However, with that being said, I am actually going to be going away on vacation for a couple of weeks, and I will not have a new sewing video until about July. I will be posting on my regular schedule, they just won't be sewing videos. I know one is a crafting video, one is a sewing room tour, and I might have another video available if I don't get something made in time for my schedule in July. I will have another video as well. However, if I do manage to get stuff done in time for July, I will have a new bonus video for you finally. Oh, and I also wanted to say I saw that I passed 900 subscribers. Thank you so much. And if I hit 1,000, I would love to do something for you all. I just haven't decided what yet. Maybe I'll do a poll when I get closer, and maybe do like a giveaway or Q&A if that's something you're interested in. I don't know yet, but thank you so much. But until next time, I hope you have a good day. Bye. Okay, move, move, move. Mine.